I'm not comfortable working with a lot of cameras a lot of time. I don't like the sort of covering a scene with multiple cameras. I like single camera approach. I like that simplicity. It's so much about the movement of the camera and the composition. You want to be open to the sort of little things that happen on a set. You can't be if you've got to communicate with an operator, which you can't do when they're shooting a shot. So if in the middle of the shot something's happening and you want to just think, oh, if I take the frame over that way a bit, that'll do blah, blah, blah. And the way I work with my dolly grip is that I'll be on the camera and I'll just go like that. So we could just alter the frame or.
As a cinematographer, I hate multicam. From my perspective, shooting multicam always impedes my ability to get the shots I know I can get while shooting with one camera. Multicam also reduces the intentionality of every shot of a film, as it is typically used as a time-saving mechanism. But like I said, I'm a cinematographer, not a director, and I'm not an actor. And there are many facets of multicam shooting that are beneficial to aspects of filmmaking that are not related to the image. For example, time. Time is money, especially while shooting a feature film. It is a multi-week, sometimes multi-month endeavor, and every single day of the shoot, production needs to pay the crew's day rates. They need to feed the crew. They need to pay for the location. They need to pay insurance premiums, which are occasionally based on the number of shoot days. They need to pay for transportation of equipment, wardrobe, crew, food, talent, and everything else from wherever they are to wherever they need to be. It is like moving a small town, and many other expenses. Suffice to say, everyday shooting is a large chunk of change. But for some scenes, shooting multicam can save production a portion of that pie, simply because it is saving them a whole bunch of time. To see how, let's look at a situation where multicam might come into play. Coverage. I hate coverage. But let's say a director wants the following structure. They want to capture a medium shot of talent A, then they need to cut to a medium shot of talent B. Now they need to cut back to the medium shot of talent A. Then things get more intense. So we go into a close-up of talent A as they say their truth. I've been the one throwing the spoons in the garbage. Then talent B reacts sadly, so we slowly push in as tensions rise, finally landing on a close-up as they deliver their response. So have I. Now the secrets are out, the air rushes back into the room as the tension dissipates, and we cut away to the two-shot of both actors. Sounds easy to do in multicam, right? You could do it a handful of ways. You could either shoot all of talent A's angles at the same time, then shoot all of talent B's angles at the same time, and shoot the two-shot at some point in the mix. Or shoot both talent A and B's medium shots at the same time, then shoot both talent A and B's close-up shots at the same time, then reset and shoot the two-shot, likely before the others though. Or we shoot everything at the same time. This requires 5 cameras, as there's talent A close-up, talent A medium shot, talent B close-up, talent B medium shot, and a two-shot. You've got your scene, you've got your coverage, it's in the can, because you're recording every angle at the same time, right? Maybe not. Let's say in the director's favorite take, D camera operator missed his mark, or C camera first AC threw the close-up a little out of focus. So you, in reality, didn't get everything, and in reality, the director wants to use that portion that got missed. But no one noticed, because we were rolling on 5 cameras at the same time. Whereas if we're just rolling on a single camera and only that single camera, all eyes are on that feed. And then there's the entire idea of coverage as a flawed concept. I believe in intentionality. I think intentionality is the entire point of movies. Sure, we can both name 100 instances where an accident or an unintended situation made a movie better. But are those true accidents, or are they filmmakers showing up at the beginning of the day with a plan, a very specific plan on how they want to shoot the scenes they're shooting that day? Then something happens, and then making informed decisions based on those uncontrolled circumstances to make the picture better. Aren't all accidents in film, when you boil it down, just the filmmaker deciding to roll on the accident, continue rolling if it happens mid-take, and then ultimately choosing to use that accident while they're cutting the film, even though it doesn't align with their initial plan when they went into shooting the film? I forget who I'm quoting here, but a movie is made 3 times. Once when it's written, once when it's shot, and once when it's edited. So, if the filmmaker doesn't decide to put the accident in the final film, then did it even happen? Would it have made the picture better if it wasn't there? Or is the picture better because of the accident? Regardless, there was intentionality in choosing to use it. So at the end of the day, accidents need to be intentionally captured and then used. Now bringing this back to multicam shooting, one might argue that a director intentionally chooses to shoot multicam. I can't argue with that, but the DP also needs to light the scene. Now I have all these angles to compete with for space. So for the two shot, I'd love to have these two backlit by the window behind them. I want to fly a big ultra bounce and shoot a handful of large fixtures off it to emulate an overcast day outside while maintaining control and consistency while shooting all day long. Looks great in the two shot, but oh shit, we move into the medium shot and that light is no longer doing what I want. Or maybe I want to shape it just a bit and add a little diffusion, or maybe I want to cheat the light around or the actor around to wrap their face more, or the opposite, which is a little more likely. Maybe where the actor is sitting in the two shot is looking great from that angle, but once I move in for one of the closer shots, I no longer like what it's doing. Whatever the case may be, in multicam, my hands are tied. There's not much more I can do other than add a fixture attached to the ceiling, which, if you're shooting on location, might not be possible. And even if you're not shooting on location, if you're shooting on a built set in a studio, maybe I don't like the direction of that light, because say we're hiding a fixture out of frame and it needs to be higher up, the direction of that light is different than the direction of the light coming from the window. If I want one side of a character's face to fall off into shadow, that becomes more difficult when I can't have the light parallel to the actor's face, which I can't if I'm playing it off the ceiling. We're gonna get some different shapes, which might be fine. Maybe no one will notice, but it takes a tool out of the DP's toolbox. All of this to say, if I'm shooting every shot individually, I can dial in every angle separate from each other. None of them need to impact each other. Okay, but Max, you might say, what if we just shot the two shots separately from the mediums or close-ups? That solves the lighting problem, right? Sure, with a caveat. If we are shooting one actor's entire performance, start to finish, with multiple cameras, we can more or less dial in the light on that actor's face. But I like wider lenses to shoot a performance. I feel that wider lenses really place an audience inside of the conversation rather than watching it on a longer lens from outside of the conversation, which feels a little too voyeuristic for some scenes. I think it's a very intimate way to shoot a conversation. But if I'm forced to shoot close-up on a longer lens because my medium shot is like where this camera is, I'm on a 28mm. If this is my medium shot and then I'm forced to shoot close-ups on a 75, that close-up is gonna feel like it's coming from outside of this intimate conversation that the two actors are having. Now maybe that's good for the story, but maybe it's not. And maybe I want to shoot my close-ups on the same 28 and I want to feel like I'm really close. You probably couldn't hear me there. But maybe I want to shoot my close-ups on a 28 or 35 so that the audience feels like they're really in the room, like they're really a part of this conversation between these two actors. You can't do that if you're shooting multicam. I can't shove a 28mm right here when I'm already shooting my medium shot here. My hands are tied. And that is what I don't love about multicam. It is the restricting of the DP's toolbox that it inherently does, no matter what way you look at it. A movie is nothing but a series of choices being made by everyone involved, and that is literally everyone from the director to the PA on lockups. Every single choice impacts the final picture. And I think what separates the greats from the not-so-goods,
you're just a chicken, chip, 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 chip,
is the culmination of making great choices. And of course, there have been many quote-unquote great movies made using multicam. I can't argue with that. But I would argue that there aren't as many. I would argue that because of the handicapping of those DP's toolboxes, they can't create as great of images as they would have been able to shooting on a single camera and putting their entire focus into that single camera every single shot. And that's not even just the DP. It is a culmination of the DP, the gaffer, the director, the scriptie. They all have to then be splitting their attention between 2, 3, 4, 5 shots instead of just one, rather than having a laser focus on a single intentional shot. If you look at the way the Coen brothers work, they go into every day with nothing but intentionality. So much so that they may only do one take of some shots if they know that they got exactly what they wanted. in that shot. Which brings me to one of the best examples of a happy accident, the Fargo parking lot scene. The Coens and Roger Deakins arrived to the building that the camera would be looking down from before all of the period accurate cars had arrived. But the main picture car had already been placed. They saw the single vehicle in the middle of the blank expanse of white snow, and they decided that was a much more powerful shot than if they would have put all the cars in. So they kept it. This example does not have anything to do with multicam, but I think it illustrates my point by proximity. The Coens do everything with intentionality. They arrive on set every day with a storyboard, knowing exactly how they want the scene to play out in the edit. Because of this, they can be extremely efficient in their shooting. They also shoot with a single camera. In Roger Deakins' new book, Reflections, he talks a little about how he landed his first film with the Coens, Barton Fink. At the time, he had recently shot Air America for Roger Spottiswoode. I don't know how to say that guy's name, I'm not gonna lie, but that's besides the point. So the Coens, as any solid interviewer would do, called his reference. Spottiswoode gave a quote-unquote scathingly bad report. He told Joel and Ethan I like to operate the camera myself, was not a fan of second units, that I did not like shooting with multiple cameras or with zoom lenses, and that I preferred working out the shots in a scene before the day's shooting began. And that got him the job. As demonstrated by this quote, shooting with a single camera is not for everyone. It is not a universally good way of shooting, and some films don't lend themselves to this way of shooting. However, I believe it's a way of shooting that lends itself to really intentional cinematography. And when you have intentional cinematography, other things tend to fall into place. And it results in shots like these, shot by Sir Roger Deakins. And I think it goes without saying, Deakins knows what he's doing. Deakins has proven himself as one of the greatest of all time. There's an intention to his work which clearly significantly impacts it. So maybe we should all take a note out of Deakins' book and shoot with intention. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.
When you find somebody as, as brilliant as Roger is, it's after having done a movie with them, it's hard to imagine, doing without. It's just one of those things where when you find talented people that, you collaborate with well, you want to keep the collaboration going. So we've really, we've done every movie since Barton Fink with Roger.